very much in like the editing trenches of my work right now. It is finally feeling like it is coming together. It's like 3 a.m. right now. It's going well, and so I decided to just roll with it and keep going. Hello friends, this is such a fun video to be filming and editing for you guys because it was just one of those magical weeks of writing and editing where the joy was so alive for developing this story. I just wanted to work on it non-stop. So here I am, I'm reading through mostly my chapter 1 and editing it. And I have spent weeks going through so many history books and developing this whole world, history, and backstory for my fantasy romance These Cursed Sands Between Us that is set in a Mesopotamian and Greek era, so that is kind of what inspired it, and especially like the Library of Alexandria is really where I took a lot of inspiration, and other ancient world libraries at the time, Egyptian and Greek, were some of the biggest influences that I used. So I just had so much information that I had learned and was ready to just pour out into this book, and so that really changed the dynamic of the first chapter. And I also added so many other chapters in here, but I was on a roll during this whole time, and so I literally just sat on this futon in our living room and just edited and read. You can probably see me doing it in the video, but I keep reading it out loud to be able to like hear how I actually feel about it. Although this was a really awesome week working on this project, since then it's given me a lot of stress and anxiety because I am just constantly trying to make my work perfect. I'm trying to make every sentence perfect. I want this book to be the most perfect book that I could ever write and publish. But it is my debut fantasy novel as a first-time author, and although I've written other stories, this is the first book that I intend to publish in the fantasy genre, and I can never be perfect writing a first. So I'm really struggling to come to terms with that fact, and it has definitely slowed down my progress in this story. So I've been thinking about just slowly working through this and writing other stories at the same time so that I'm not stuck on this one story, These Cursed Sands Between Us, when I get kind of in my head. I'm so impatient with how imperfect my story is. So hopefully working on multiple projects at once will kind of like make my brain have to oscillate between different types of story structure and writing. This is what I've been up to lately, and it has been wonderful having such a great week working on it, especially after struggling to get a lot of writing done lately. If perfection while you're writing is something you struggle with as well, how do you overcome that? Because that is definitely one of my biggest struggles, is just halting all of my progress when I'm working on things because I want it to be absolutely perfect. Hello friends, I'm in the midst of editing, very much in like the editing trenches of my work right now. It is finally feeling like it is coming together. Right now I'm heavily editing my chapter 1. It is the same concept. I am really liking where it's going, but it's taking so much time. This is only day 2 of working on it. I've put a lot of hours into this, and it's 3:07 right now, and I started working on this at 8:30 or not, maybe like I'll say 10. we'll say 10. I spent a lot of time today looking at like my plotting points from like the Save the Cat beat sheet and redoing that and just kind of thinking about a lot of it. I'm already going to be adding another chapter. Since I've started the edits just recently, like in the past week, restarting looking at them. I think in the beginning I was writing a lot of comments. I was editing certain chapters, but now in the past like week or so, I'm now going to be adding 2 more chapters. So we're gonna be up to 31 chapters, which is crazy. I'm about 200 pages into this story because I have it in vellum, so it's all formatted. I can see it's already at 200 pages. It's nowhere near done. I'm thinking it'll be around 350 pages, at least 300, like final, when I finish this whole round of edits. But I'm really loving where this is going. It's just like a lot on your brain I'm rereading and rereading and editing because I think this is it. This is where this chapter is gonna be. I'm just trying to make myself really like it, adding in a lot of like world building, adding in a lot more setting, which is good. I feel like I can actually picture the place when I'm reading it right now, which is so exciting. Like I wasn't explaining the city dynamics, I guess, if that makes sense. So now I can see where we are in the city. I could like draw you a map of where we're going with stuff, and hopefully that helps the reader like be able to picture everything a lot better. And it's fun. I don't know, it's really fun right now, but it's a lot of hard, like, detailed work. And I'm just so grateful that I've kept reading so much. Kept telling myself, like, oh, you should be writing instead of reading. But I just am finding that the more I'm reading, the easier it is for me to figure out how to describe things and little details that I could throw in, because the more I read, the more I see little pieces that I notice that are then important later on, or they help me see a picture instead of, like, telling. I was doing a lot of telling with the first draft, which is what I know it's what first drafts are. So I need to like just be cool with that. The first draft is like tell yourself the story, and then you get it to a place where the reader can read it and understand what's going on. But it's a lot of fun, and I cannot wait for this to be done. It's getting there. We're going places. So hopefully soon. Right now. I just got off the phone with my friend. We were talking about my book. I have been working on my book since maybe 1:30 this afternoon. It is 3 a.m. If you couldn't tell, it's going well. And so I decided to just roll with it and keep going. I am almost to 42,000 words on my draft. I'm now at 32 chapters. And yeah, I have so much research, so much stuff getting added, but she just read the opening of my book, which I have kind of drastically changed since she last looked at it. And we were kind of just talking about like a dilemma that I was having with the main character, and kind of like a side plot that was coming through, kind of like a theme. And I just really didn't know how I felt about it, like coming in. She made a really good point. And the point was that I was making my characters too much of a dramatic foil of one another. I thought that was a good thing, and then the more we talked about it, she was just saying like there's so much conflict between them, especially because they're like the grumpy sunshine pairing. As personalities and people, they're already opposites of each other, and they really clash a lot. It's like the fun of it. I just wrote a whole chapter today that was entirely their like grumpy sunshine duo dynamic. It was so fun, but there's already a lot of differences between them, so I shouldn't make it more complicated. And then we just started talking about like what makes a really good friendship and relationship, and how a lot of it is that you share a lot of things in common. So I really need to go through my couple and kind of figure out like their shared things that they do together, like where they would connect and where those like, you know, points would be that they really understand each other and like why they would fall in love. Because I know a lot of information in my head, but I don't know if I'm really saying it across the page. This is why they're the perfect pair, and here's their love story. Yeah, so I'm gonna kind of go through and like highlight those kind of things so you can kind of see like these are distinct moments that have really helped them fall in love, and these are the things they share, and these are the things that are different. So I need to think about this. A lot of it's coming down to like religion and faith and a lack of trust and their differences. So I don't know, it's kind of a whole difficult topic, and one character is extremely like faith-filled and like really that's like a core belief system for him, and the other one is just like I don't know where she's at. So there's a lot of like conflict and difficulties, but I need to kind of make them bridge that gap together.